Hi. Hi, I'm Dwayne Thomas, author of Visual Latin, and I'm here to give you some good reasons to study Latin. But before I give you good reasons, I want to give you a bad reason. Mark Twain, a famous American author, one time said, "By all means, learn another language. It will not make you any smarter, but everyone will think that you're smarter." I knew growing up that I needed that. I'm not afraid to admit that I'm not the sharpest elevator in the ocean. Let me give you 5 good reasons to study Latin. Come on, guys, I'm counting on you. 5 good reasons to study Latin. Number 1, if you're a kid watching this, here's a good reason for you to study Latin. Your parents are probably making you study Latin. But think about it. If you're a kid, you're not doing much right now, right? You watch cartoons, you read some books, you hang around the house. You're not doing much. Your parents know that you're going to need a good education to do well in this life. You'll need a good education, then go to a good college, then get a good job or start your own business so that you can work there for a long time so you can retire so that you can go back to doing nothing. Hey, wait a minute. All right, well, if you're a kid, you got to do what your parents told you to do. So there's one good reason. Another good reason. Latin was the foundation of all the modern Romance languages. Half of the languages in Europe came directly out of the Roman language, the Latin language. Portuguese, French, Spanish, Italian, Romanian, even little languages like Romansh in parts of Switzerland. All of these languages came out of the Roman language. The Romans conquered a good chunk of 3 continents. They conquered part of Asia, they conquered part of Africa, and they conquered almost all of Europe. And wherever they went, they left their roads, they left their structure of government, they left their language. And when the Roman government went away, the language stayed, and it became the foundation, particularly in Western Europe, it became the foundation for so many of those languages. Over half of the languages in Europe come right out of Latin. So if you know Latin, you have a door into those languages. Now, a lot of my students say to me, "Wait, Mr. Thomas, shouldn't I just learn French if I want to learn French?" And my answer to that is yes. If you know you want to learn French, go learn French. In fact, turn this video off. But if you're still here, maybe you don't know which language you want to learn. Maybe you're interested in French and Spanish and Portuguese or Italian, and you can't make up your mind. Well, if you've got the time and you're young, study Latin, because then jumping from Latin to any of those languages is an easy feat. You know what? I shouldn't say it's easy. It is easier. Learning a foreign language is never easy, but it can be easier. And if you've already learned Latin, you've cleared the path. So there's 2 good reasons. If you're a kid, you need to honor your parents and do what they tell you to do anyway. If you want to open the door to a lot of modern languages, learn Latin first. Here's another good reason. If you learn Latin, you've opened the door to a lot of the wisdom of the past. For 1,500 years or so, over 1,000 years, much of the knowledge that we have in our world today was discovered and written about and recorded in Latin. It was the language of medicine. It was the language of science. It was the language of philosophy and religion and history. And a lot of that has not been translated in any other languages. A lot of it still remains untranslated in Latin. And unless you can read Latin, that door is closed to you. But if you can read Latin, you can go back and read those books, and most of them are public domain. They're available for free. You can go back and read those books and discover so much of the wisdom of the past. However, I will tell you, if you're just watching this video for entertainment and you're never going to go learn Latin, I'll just tell you what's in most of those books. Most of those authors are generally just frustrated because chocolate hasn't been invented yet. A 4th reason. So we've got, if you're a kid, honor your parents. If you're a If you're anybody else, and even if you are a kid, you're opening the door to foreign languages, you're opening the door to the wisdom of the past. But you know what? Latin can even change the way that you think. Let me explain what I mean by that. If I ask you what you do for a living, I'm asking you about your job. But it sounds like I'm talking to you almost about survival. How do you stay alive? In German, the phrase is "Was sind Sie von Beruf?" Beruf means office. So I'm asking you, what is your office? And it almost sounds like I'm asking you, what is your duty? So in English we have survival, in German we have your duty. In Greek, I would say to you, if I was asking you about your job, "Τι δουλειά κάνετε?" "Τι δουλειά κάνετε?" And I don't know if my Greek was perfect there. I'm still learning Greek. "Τι δουλειά κάνετε?" Interestingly enough, that middle word, doulia, comes from an old Greek word, doulos, which means slave. Ha! So I'm asking you, hey, what's your slavery? I hate my job. Do you hate your job? What is your job? What's your slavery? Sounds kind of sad, right? So you see how different cultures may, I'm not saying they absolutely do, but they may think about their jobs. I do it to survive. I do it because it's my job. I do it even though I hate it because I'm sort of a slave. I got to get up and go to work because that's what I do. My favorite one, though, is Spanish. There's a way to ask somebody what they do in Spanish. You can say, "¿A qué te dedicas?" Now look at that last word, dedicas. It literally means you are dedicated. ¿A qué te dedicas means what are you dedicated to? That's my favorite one. That's the way I think of my job. I don't do my job because I need the money, which actually I do, but that's not the reason I do my job. I don't do it just because it's my job. I don't do it because I feel like a slave. I do what I do, teach Latin, because I love foreign languages. I love reading books in other languages. That's what I'm dedicated to. I like it. It changes, or can change, the way that you think. The same question in 4 different languages, and with each of those questions came a different worldview or a different way of viewing your work. Let me give you another reason to study Latin. Latin is not the source of English, but Latin influenced English. Latin makes up about 50% of the English language, but it's even more significant than that. Latin makes up about 90% of English's multisyllable words. In English, if you're going to use a big word, chances are you're going to use a Latin word. English draws heavily from Latin. Most of our big words are Latin. Let me give you some examples. If I stick side, C-I-D-E, at the end of an English word, that comes from the Latin word cadere, which means to cut down, to destroy, to kill, to cut off. If I stick side at the end of any English word, then something is going to be killed. This is interesting because we actually get the word decide from this word as well. And if you decide to do something, then you're deciding not to do something else. Again, the language changes the way you think. But it's also where we get words like herbicide, to kill plants, insecticide, to kill bugs, arachnicide, to kill spiders. 2 thumbs way up for arachnicide, by the way. I hate spiders. Pesticide. Oh, by the way, how come none of the bad guys ever use arachnicide to get rid of Spider-Man? Duh. Just throw a can of arachnicide in the room with him. Anyway, pesticide also comes from this word. Pesticide is what you use to get rid of pests, like rodents perhaps, rats, or bugs, or bullies on your street. Yeah, maybe not. You might get in trouble if you do that one. We also get English words like mortgage from Latin. Actually, this is interesting. Mortgage comes from the Latin word mortuus, which means death. And if you buy a house, you're probably going to have to borrow money from the bank, and you'll probably be paying it off until you're nearly dead. And that's actually what the word mortgage means. Kind of sad. Again, it can change the way you think. But our big words in English are mostly right out of Latin. And for better or for worse, English is the most powerful language in the world today. I'm not saying it's the most important language in the world, but if a pilot from Turkey is landing in Italy, that pilot from Turkey does not speak to the Italian air traffic controller in Italian or in Turkish. He speaks to the air traffic controller in English, and the traffic controller responds to him in English. It is the international language in our world today. And if you master Latin, you have a huge door into the English language that other people don't who have not studied Latin. You've got more access to a tool that the whole world is trying to get access to. Almost everybody's trying to learn English, and you will be that much further ahead. Guys, there's lots of good reasons to study Latin. It increases your vocabulary. You understand and learn grammar as you learn Latin. You learn English grammar as well, and the grammar of other languages, so that Spanish and French and Italian and Portuguese, languages like that, Romance languages, are wide open to you. It can change the way you think. You'll probably never think of mortgage the same way. There are so many good reasons to learn Latin.